Ricardo Feller. Fact is, leading the race, the championship, is Thomas Preining, 13 points ahead of Mirko, and then Ricardo Feller has 33 points behind Thomas Preining. So fact is, it could happen today, but hopefully it'll be as exciting till tomorrow, and then tomorrow we will know who will be the reigning champion, the new reigning champion. Fact is, it's going to be super exciting. We've got full house, sunshine, perfect conditions, so we're really excited and looking forward to a very, very thrilling race. Here are your commentators.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Verena Reed down on the grid. Chris Hartley and Brian Oliver up here in the commentary box at a beautiful sunny Hockenheim. It's 17 degrees, it's sunny. There are some clouds in the sky, but they're all white and fluffy. We're set for a dry race, the penultimate round, round 15 of DTM 2023. And with three drivers that can still win the championship. Sheldon van der Linde dropping out of the running after qualifying this morning. He only had the slightest of chances. That has now gone, so he won't be successfully defending his title. And therefore, we're going to get, whatever happens, a brand new champion. Thomas Preining looking to become the first ever Austrian. Mirko Bortolotti looking to become only the third Italian to win the championship and the first since 1993, 30 years ago, when Nicola Larini won it. And Ricardo Feller looking for his first championship as well. After this race, 28 points still available. That means Mirko Bortolotti, who is 8th on the grid with Thomas Preining, the points leader, on pole position. He's got to finish within 15 points of Thomas Preining to stay in the championship fight. That means if Thomas Preining wins, Mirko has to finish 6th or better. If Thomas Preining finishes 2nd, Mirko Bortolotti has to finish 11th or better. And if Thomas Preining finishes 3rd, he has to finish 15th or better. If Preining's 4th or lower, then it goes down to tomorrow. If Preining is 3rd and Bortolotti he's out of the points, but Ricardo Feller wins, Ricardo Feller could stay in the championship fight as well. He's got to close the gap from 34 points down to at least 28, well, 27 potentially, because if you tie on points, it goes down to the number of race wins you've got at the moment. Mirko Bortolotti's got 3, Thomas Preining's got 1 win, and Ricardo Feller has got 1 race win as well. But Thomas Preining, the star of qualifying this morning, getting his 2nd ever pole position, his 2nd of the season, securing 3 championship points with a lap time that was almost a 10th and a half quicker than anybody else. But the story of qualifying was Mirko Bortolotti, who actually set the fastest lap in qualifying, but like others, the time was taken away for exceeding track limits. It's all down at turn 1, where there's a lot of runoff area, and the drivers losing their lap times in qualifying if they were being shown to exceed that limit and going over the curbs too much. So Mirko lost the time. It was a great lap. He tried in vain to better it on his next lap, but just ran out of tyres. So 8th place was all he could manage. But he says the car feels good. And I'm sure that Mirko Bortolotti, who is a real fighter, is going to be going for it from 8th on the grid. His issue might be Dennis Olsen, because Dennis Olsen is Thomas Preining's teammate, and he starts 3rd on the grid with his best qualifying of the year. So he's going to be a useful rear gunner. He's also going to be taking points away, potentially, from Thomas's 2 big championship rivals. There is the number 92 car, then, of Mirko Bortolotti, but he might get a bit of a helping hand as well, with his teammate from Pereira 4th on the grid, and Christian Engelhardt in the Lamborghini 2nd on the grid. Let's go back down there now and catch up with Verena.
And I'm here with Ricardo Feller, who's starting in P7. That means 1 position ahead of Mirko Bortolotti, but a bit further back than Thomas Preining. So it's going to be such a tough race today, because obviously at the moment you're 3rd in the championship. There are 33 points behind between you and Thomas Preining. So what are you going to do to hopefully get all the way to the front?
Yeah, we need to attack like we did, or we tried at least always this year. For sure, like you said, it will be very, very tough for us, especially when we saw the pace from the Porsche in the quali now. But you never know what's going to happen, so we just have to enjoy it, and yeah, then we'll see what will happen. I don't know. We will find out very soon.
But knowing you, you're cool and calm a little bit, but also you're going to fight as hard as you can.
Yeah, definitely. I would say I'm also a bit more nervous than usual, obviously. Because quali didn't go like we wanted. Would have been nicer to stand in front of the Porsche, but now it is what it is, and we need to deal with it and try our best. And yeah, I'm super happy to be part of this team, and they are doing a great job. So with a good pit stop and strategy, I hope we can get a bit to the front. Worked out quite well sometimes this year.
All right, well, crossing our fingers. Thank you so much, Ricardo. Best of luck for the race. And then let's try to find Mirko Bortolotti. I can see him. Let's try to grab him because Mirko is starting in P8. And that means he's 7 positions behind the leader of the championship, who is Thomas Preining. And knowing Mirko, he's obviously focusing. He's still doing a few chats, but obviously now needing to concentrate on the race because it's going to be a tough one. Hey there, Mirko, starting from P8, and you're 13 points behind Thomas. So at this point, what's going on in your head? Good strategy, or what are you hoping for? Obviously to go to the front.
Yeah, just focusing on the formation lap and the start, that's it.
All right, and for you feeling, you always tell me, hey, it's a race like every other, but now only 2 more races to go. Now it's all about the championship title.
Yeah, but we are not in a good position, unfortunately. Had a pole lap which got deleted, so now we start from P8, and that's not the best starting position, but it's nothing we can do. It's the way it is. We can just do the best from here.
Knowing you're a fighter. Best of luck, Mirko. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Yeah, so you heard from Ricardo Feller, 7th on the grid, and Mirko Bortolotti, 8th on the grid, who both need to catch up and ideally overtake and score more points than this man, Thomas Preining. It's not just a case of staying in the championship fight going into tomorrow. It's about trying to close the gap to give yourself a realistic chance in the final race of the season. Mirko Bortolotti will be going full attack. Ricardo Feller, after qualifying, saying he lost 4 tenths in the middle sector and it was all on the straight. So they've been pleading for a bigger restrictor on that Audi with the BOP, the balance of performance, but it hasn't happened. But there has already been good news for Abt Sportsline. They're the first team to announce their driver lineup and their car and their sponsor for next year at 6:30 last night. A big crowd gathered in the paddock, and Red Bull back as a title sponsor all over the new look cars for Abt next year, which will again be Audis and which will again be driven by Kelvin van der Linde and Ricardo Feller. Let's get back down to the grid.
And I'm here with the pole setter and the leader of the championship, Thomas Preining. So Thomas, at this point, it's all about the championships. You're leading by 13 points. How nervous are you? How excited are you?
I'm excited. Honestly, always it's a luxury situation to start the race from pole, and I feel very grateful that we did such a good job since our test last week to put the car where it is now, and now it's about keeping it there.
Do you think the championship will be decided today or tomorrow?
This is not up to me. I will try to do my best to decide it today, but there's a few other guys who have something against that.
It'll be exciting. Best of luck, Thomas. Thank you so much, and back to you. And now we're very excited. Let's get the race started. Here are your commentators. Enjoy.
Top stuff. Thanks, Verena. She's got all 3 of our championship contenders then. Thomas Preining looking actually pretty relaxed, I would say. He did a superb job this morning. Brian Oliver next to me in the commentary box. Brian, whatever happens today or this weekend in terms of the championship, you know, all 3 of those drivers would be worthy champions, wouldn't they? They've been terrific this year.
Oh, it's been a phenomenal year, hasn't it? It would have been nice if Mirko Bortolotti hadn't had that lap taken away, because wouldn't you have just loved to have seen him start this race alongside Thomas Preining? Ricardo Feller said he was nervous. Well, I think we're all a bit nervous, really, and excited. There's a massive crowd here at the Hockenheimring this weekend, and we cannot wait for this race to start to see what is going to happen.
Absolutely right. It's not just the Drivers' Championship as well. We got 4 teams battling for the team's title. Manthey EMA back in the DTM for the first time in 21 years. They lead the standings, and of course they got their cars 1st and 3rd on the grid with Thomas Preining and Dennis Olsen, the 2 Porsches. So they've got 283 points. They are 27 clear of Abt Sportsline, who are looking for their 6th drivers title, 6 teams championship title. So they're 27 behind, 28 behind, and 3rd are SSR Performance, who run the Lamborghinis of Bortolotti, Pereira and Delida, and then Schubert Motorsport, who won the Teams and Drivers' Championship last year. They, with the BMW, are 30 points behind. 30 points behind. After this race, there will be 45 still available, with the top 2 cars counting. The same is true of the Manufacturers' Championship, the Brands' Championship. The top 2 cars count. There are no points in qualifying, just the races. And so after this race, 45 points available if you get a 1-2. There are 5 brands that are still capable of winning the Brands Championship, with Porsche ahead of Lamborghini and Mercedes as the top 3 as we look forward to the first race of the weekend. So we're here at the Hockenheimring. This is the 30th time that the DTM finale has been hosted at this circuit. No other circuit has hosted more races in DTM than this one. We are central Germany. The town of Hockenheim is just a stone's throw away. We're around about 90 kilometers from Frankfurt. And this is a circuit which has evolved hugely over the years. When it was first built back in the 1920s, it was 12 kilometers long, and it went out into the forest, and then it changed again in the 60s. It was reduced to 7 kilometers, still these long straights out into the forest section. But these days, it's this formation, a 4.574 kilometer long lap. The hairpin is a real overtaking opportunity on the way in and on the way out of the corner. There's been good battles there over the years. That one between Timo Glock and Gary Paffett, the two-time champion. But there can be incidents as well on the way into the arena sections. A big crash here last year, a huge crash at the start of the Saturday race, which amongst others ruined the weekend of Thomas Preining, who was going for the championship that year as well. Last year, this is where Sheldon van der Linde claimed 2 podium finishes to maintain his championship lead and with his first DTM title. So there's been a lot of history here. It's 17 turns long. It's a great racetrack. Thomas Preining and Christian Engelhardt on the front row. Christian back in the DTM and with Lamborghini for this weekend. Dennis Olsen and Frank Pereira, Porsche and Lamborghini, they might play a part in this championship fight. Jack Aitken and Kelvin van der Linde are on the third row of the grid, and then it's 2 of the 3 championship contenders, Riccardo Feller and Mirko Bortolotti, side by side on the 4th row. Row 5, Clement Schmidt and Luca Stolz to complete the top 10. Engine Nguyen looked really good in the wet conditions in practice yesterday. He starts 11th. Marco Wittmann starts 12th. Lucas Auer was a winner here last year. He starts 13th on the grid, last year's championship runner-up ahead of Arjun Maini. Lauren Heinrich and Marvin Dienst make it an all Porsche row 8. Row 9, René Rast, who won at the Red Bull Ring last time out, back in 17th. Thierry Vermeulen in the Ferrari 18th. Matteo Drudi and Maro Engel then 19th and 20th, despite the fact Maro went really well in the test last week. Tim Heinemann and David Schumacher 21st and 22nd. Luca Engstler and Patrick Niederhauser, both at the end of their first season of the championship, are on the 12th row. Jesse Vervega and Sandro Holzem, also new to DTM this year, are on the 13th row of the grid. And look at that, all the way back in 27th spot, Sheldon van der Linde, the reigning champion with his worst qualifying of the year, Alessio Deleda alongside. And look at that, Brian, absolutely rammed in the grandstands. I've been doing this for a number of years. I've never, ever seen it this busy on finals weekend at Hockenheim. We had a bit of a queue, a bit of a stressy morning getting into the circuit. There were that many people trying to get here.
Yeah, we thought we were going to miss qualifying, didn't we? Yes, isn't it great to see DTM as popular as ever as we look at the drivers, the nerves starting to build now, the cars on the grid. The crowds have now cleared the grid, so the cars are just out there with their single mechanic alongside them. The tension inside the car must be phenomenal. This is a race that could be very much about teammates, and I think Dennis Olsen might have a big part to play in this.
Yeah, and maybe Christian Engelhardt. He's not the same team this weekend as the championship currently second place driver Mirko Bortolotti, but he's in a Lamborghini. There he is in the gold liveried number 19 car, 4th driver in that car this season for Grasser Racing Team. The car has been a race winning car this year at the hands of Maximilian Paul, and Christian Engelhardt's had multiple wins here in Porsches and GT Masters. He's still a Porsche contracted driver, but special dispensation to be in the Lamborghini. And of course then he goes and puts it on the front row of the grid. His best qualifying so far in what's still his first season of DTM, not a full season. Thomas Preining is the one driver ahead of him. And there to hold the Start Your Engines board aloft is Harold Kreis, who is the head coach of the German national hockey team, a special guest of the Abt Sportsline team this year. Born in Canada, lived and grew up in Germany, and he took Germany to the finals of the World Hockey Championship and 2nd place in the most recent edition. So he has the honour of holding aloft the Start Your Engines board. We've got onboard cameras on all 3 of our championship contenders, plus Sheldon van der Linde and Luca Engstler. And there you go, Thomas Preining, if he wins, and if Mirko Bortolotti finishes 7th or lower, he's going to be the champion. If he's 2nd and Bortolotti is 12th or lower, then he's the champion. And if he finishes 3rd and out of the points is Bortolotti and Feller doesn't win, he's the champion in that scenario as well. He can't really think about all that in terms of mathematics while he's out there driving. All he can do, at least for the time being, at least for the first half of the race, Brian, is just try, get the car off the line and treat it as much as he can like a normal race.
Yes, he's just got to compartmentalise it and just focus on the job today. There's nothing more the teams can do. The drivers have qualified, they've got their grid positions. It's down now to the drivers in the seat until it comes to the first pit stop. There is the trophy in the middle of the track. I wouldn't leave it there if I were you. But just reminding the drivers what it is they're fighting for.
Look what you could win, everybody. They drive past, and no doubt about it, Riccardo Fella would have just had a little luck across at that. Mirko Bortolotti as well, and we would have said, right, I'm going to go for this. Bortolotti has been in the hunt all the way through the season. He's been the championship leader for a long time. He dropped to second. He's got it back again, the championship lead. He dropped to second. And, you know, that non-point scoring finish in race 2 last time out of the Red Bull Ring when he got clipped from behind. It wasn't a huge clip at the start of the race, but it was enough to give him a puncture. Had to come in, change tyres, dropped to the back of the field, almost a lap down, was never able to get back in the fight. And that proved costly, but all of the drivers, and even Thomas Preining, who leads the championship, Brian, will look back at certain events that happened this season and say, well, yeah, but I could have won this race, or I could have scored more points in that race. They've all had a bit of bad luck here or there.
Yes, ifs, whats and maybes. One thing is for sure, though, the top 3, Thomas Preining, Mirko Bortolotti and Riccardo Fella, they cannot afford to record a DNF. They need to finish. They need to finish in the points, some more so than others, especially Riccardo Fella, but they need to get to the end of this race. So staying out of trouble is going to be critical. There'll be drivers around them that are prepared to take risks. Thomas Preining does not need to take a big risk to get on the top step of the podium.
Now, Thomas Preining said after qualifying, what we're really looking at is to get our first double podium of the season. We're looking to get me and Dennis on the podium. That's all we can hope for. SSR Performance then, Stefan Schlund's team with a terrific first season, come what may. First season with a Lamborghini, second season in DTM. Then it's Hans-Jürgen Abt in the middle of the picture for Abt. There's Olaf Mantai, who leads the team's championship. All of their drivers involved in this championship fight. It's the 16th season out of the 23 that Abt Sportsline have contested, in which they've had at least one driver in the top 3 in the championship. The last 3 championship titles, the last of which came in 2009, they won them all on the last day of the season. So they'll be hoping to repeat history. But there's a young man called Thomas Preining who might just have something to say about that. And there's Dad, who's been through every turn of the wheel throughout his whole career, his whole family behind him, all the way since the karting days. They are here, and they'll be more nervous than anybody else here this weekend. Right, 60 minutes plus 1 lap of racing coming up. Chris Hartley and Brian Oliver on commentary for the penultimate round of DTM 2023. And Preining gets a terrific start. It's a great start from his teammate Dennis Austin as well. There's some bodywork off in the background from the middle of the pack, but that's the perfect start for Thomas Preining. He's got the lead. He's got his teammate behind him as a rear gunner. Mirko Bortolotti and Riccardo Fella in the background are still side by side as they make their way to turn 2. Fella's got the inside line. That'll put him on the outside line for the next turn, though. And they're still going to be side by side. Josef Vega towards the back of the field gets tagged and sent into a spin, but it's going to be Preining, Olsen, Engelhardt and Aitken with a good start from 5th to 4th. As they plummet now through the 5th gear, Parabolica, down towards the hairpin. This is the pinch point. If you're brave enough, you can throw it down the inside of the brakes. Look at Bortolotti on the outside of Fella. On the inside of Fella is from Pereira. Bortolotti just cannot quite find a way through. Of course, Fella's never going to let him through because he needs the points as well. He's tucked in behind his teammate Kelvin van der Linde, so he's up there in the top 6. What a start from Thomas Preining, though. He leads. We've got an incident into turn 2 under investigation. That was the one involving Josef Vega, which sent the pink Mercedes into a spin. But it is going to be Thomas Preining heading into this 200+ km/h corner at Mobile 1 curve next that comes. And this is where that huge accident happened last year on the way to the Sachs curve in front of a packed grandstand. They come then. Mirko Bortolotti desperately trying to get up the order. He's got 1 place. He's up to 7th. It's not quite as good a start as he would have liked, but he survived the first lap. And maybe from 8th on the grid, that is a good, big plus point. But Preining, Brian, with a terrific start in the dream scenario.
Yes, Christian Engelhardt didn't really get away, and Preining was well ahead into turn 1. Riccardo Fella's made a good start. Kelvin van der Linde was in front of him, but he clearly moved aside. He's allowed Riccardo Fella through. So Fella up to 5th place. So he is on a charge. There he is, coming round the corner. His teammate just behind him, but lots of drama up and down the pack as well.
Yeah, Pereira's dropped behind Bortolotti. He didn't get a great start, did he, Pereira? And he was caught by both Fella and Bortolotti down at the hairpin. So that's why Bortolotti's gained a place up into 7th place. But his major headache now is going to be Kelvin van der Linde, who was quickest in both of the practice sessions yesterday, both of them rain affected. But Kelvin van der Linde and Ricardo Feller are also trying to win the team's championship for AB Sportsline. One of their rivals, of course, SSR Performance. As Sheldon van der Linde now gets his head down on a charge. He's gone alongside Luca Exler, who's going to try and get around the outside of David Schumacher. The red and yellow Schubert BMW still around the outside. Can't quite get that done. He's going to have Luca Exler nipping back up the inside of him into the next corner as well. You can't quite see him, but he's right alongside. Oh, look at this, Rene Rast getting stuck in with Maro Engel. And then Tim Heidemann going way out wide, the former DTM Trophy champion in the turquoise and pink Porsche. Then he throws it down the inside in towards the Mercedes arena and nabs the place back. Feels like the last weekend of school, doesn't it? It's the end of term, everybody's going for it. And that is going to be, I think, the tone for the whole weekend as we go on board with Luca Exler now. Didn't quite get back ahead of Sheldon van der Linde. Sheldon just got down the inside of Schumacher, though, going into the Mobil 1 curve.
Yes, this is proper gloves-off racing, isn't it? Tim Heidemann, he's a man on a mission. They came out of the hairpin 3 abreast. Everybody was having flashbacks to last year, but we're pleased to say they all survived. But Rene Rast still in front of him at the moment. Maro Engel's come off the worst out of that particular battle, but he's not done yet.
So Mirko Bortolotti crosses the line in 7th place. He's half a second behind Kelvin van der Linde. Kelvin was nearly a 10th quicker on that lap, so the gap grew ever so slightly. Sheldon van der Linde said before the weekend, even when he still had a mathematical, albeit very slim one, chance in the championship, look, I'm going for 3rd place in the championship now. We're going for the team's championship. That's my focus. So he's going to be gunning for it. Neither of the BMWs having a particularly good qualifying session after a 1-2 finish at the Red Bull Ring last time out, remember, for Rene Rast and for his teammate Sheldon van der Linde. Right, replay of the start. You're absolutely right. Engelhardt didn't quite get it hooked up off the line, did he? That was where he lost the position. There's a front bumper that's gone awry off one of the Audis by the looks of things.
I think it was Drudy, was it?
Yeah.
Guy Drudy?
Yeah, it looks like one of the Attempto front splitters, doesn't it? So that's gone off, but luckily nobody really collected it. He's Rene Rast in the 33 BMW, giving you a little tap on the shoulder. That was Sheldon van der Linde with the onboard camera. Then he just threw it around the outside of Hockenheimring. This is Arjun Maini with it on board as well, getting stuck in. Van der Linde, right, so van der Linde was the one that clipped Youssef Vega. Youssef then sent into a spin as a result of that. He's got going again. We have, though, had into the pits Ayhan Nguyen, unfortunately. Been looking good yesterday in the Friday pre-practice sessions, but the Turkish driver, I'm afraid, in the pits with an issue.
Yeah, there was an awful lot of panel bashing at the start of that race, wasn't there? So Youssef Vega's got a long afternoon ahead of him. Ayhan Nguyen down in the pits as well. The stewards are taking a look at that incident with Sheldon van der Linde and will let us know if there is any issues at all. Here's Thomas Brining's team radio.
He's away for the pressures, I think 0 front street, has to clear lots.
Oh, he sounds cool and calm still, doesn't he?
Copy.
Engelhardt is starting to nibble back at them a bit, though, isn't he, in 3rd place? And look at this battle for 4th place. Ricardo Feller, now, he was a daredevil, wasn't he, at the Red Bull Ring? He went from 26th on the grid to finish in 3rd place. I spoke to him about that last night, and he said it was just one of those races where, you know, sometimes everything seems to fall your way. That was one of those races. But he's going to try and make the most of this now. He's trying to get around the outside of Jack Aitken. That's a braver man than me that tries to do that. Around the outside of the hairpin. Doesn't quite work the Ferrari, though he holds the line. Ricardo Feller, good traction here. He's almost on the grass trying to come around the outside. Right-hander coming up as they go to turn 7 at over 200 kilometres an hour. Hold your breath, breathe in, and a white Ferrari that now becomes with Jack Aitken in the number 14 car. Also a race winner this year. Going to get a bit wide, but he's okay. Right-hander coming up, Ricardo Feller getting ever so close to him on the way through the corners, just trying to out-accelerate him. He shows his nose once again as they come in towards the Mobil 1 curve. They're absolutely nose to tail. So look at the commentary box window and head towards the Sachs curve at the top 3. Are closing up as well. Ricardo Feller late on the brakes, almost into the left rear corner of the Ferrari. Last of the late breakers. He would have held his breath there, Jack Aitken, and seen this missile coming. He's just all over him at the moment, though. Ricardo Feller, he's definitely the quicker of the two. He makes his way out through the sub curve and out, about 130 kilometres an hour over the curves. The Audi hopping and skipping and bouncing, but maybe just a bit too far back to have an attack into turn 1.
Jack Aitken had surprised himself by putting it on P5 this morning in qualifying. He said the Ferrari didn't have the pace around this particular circuit. And you can see that here because Ricardo Feller clearly quick, and he's got Kelvin van der Linde, his teammate, behind him as a rear gunner. So that frees up Ricardo Feller to really turn the heat up on Jack Aitken to try and make that move without risking losing a position. The leaders have broken away a little, Preining, Olsen and Engelhardt, but they're not exactly leaving Jack Aitken for dead. Up towards the hairpin they come once again, the 1, 2, 3. Christian Engelhardt, he still fancies moving up a few positions.
The race finished now. Thomas Preining would be champion. He's on for 25 points. Bortolotti's on for 9 and Feller is on for 11. That means Preining would be 29 points clear. There's only 28 available after today as we get a replay of this terrific battle between Jack Aitken and Ricardo Feller. And Ricardo Feller, at the moment, if it stays like this, he would be 48 points adrift and also out of the running.
Such close racing. He had a couple of wheels on the grass. Yes, that actually says what we're all thinking at the moment, I think. But fortunately, they've all survived. All cars still running, apart from Ayçen Gün, who's gone back into the pits. But there's confirmation. If the race finished now, Thomas Preining would be champion.
Well, it's not going to finish now. There's a very long way to go in this 60-minute plus 1 lap race. We're just in the early stages. You've got the mandatory pit stop to come, don't forget, in the middle 20 minutes of the race. Great shot there, looking at Ricardo Feller working away at the wheel with his white race gloves on, trying to find a way past former Williams and Renault Formula 1 reserve driver, and a man that raced in a Grand Prix Sakir a few years ago as well, Jack Aitken, in his first season of DTM. He's been racing in the IMSA Sports Car Championship with great success at times this year as well. So Jack ain't going to be an easy driver to overtake. A race winner in Formula 2 on his way up towards the very echelon of single-seater at Formula 1 as well. So Jack Aitken in the number 14 Emile Frey Racing Ferrari doing a good job. This is just allowing maybe to catch up then Kelvin van der Linde. Of course, he's his teammate to Ricardo Feller, so he's never going to try and come through. But then you've got the 2 Lamborghinis just inching up towards them as well. The first of which is number 92, Mirko Bortolotti, who has got to improve his position in this race to stay in the championship.
Well, he's got Frank Pereira behind him to protect his position as well. The incident between Arjen Meini and Marvin Dienst on lap 1 is under investigation. Meanwhile, Sheldon van der Linde is in 19th place, but he's the quickest man on the track at 139.768.
Ricardo's going to look at the inside. He's side by side with Jack Aitken. They trade paintwork, they exchange phone numbers, they get ever so friendly, but he can't quite get through, or can he? Can he? Now noses ahead. Jack Aitken halfway alongside. Look, they're all 3 together with Kelvin van der Linde getting involved as well. Somehow Jack Aitken on the way to the Mobil 1 curve fends him off. Ricardo Feller has now got Kelvin van der Linde alongside, and look who's right behind them. Number 92, Mirko Bortolotti. Bortolotti spies a chance to get at the inside of Kelvin van der Linde, but Kelvin is about to become Ricardo Feller's best friend ever by keeping the Italian just about behind, but that was all a bit too close for comfort.
Well, if Kelvin van der Linde was the rear gunner, he's doing a fantastic job, isn't he? We saw him move to the outside of Feller. I thought he was going to try and get past him at one point. Now he's dropped back. Mirko Bortolotti will have steam coming out of his.
Short but sweet.
Short and sweet. Bortolotti will be so frustrated at the moment. He's got his teammate Frank Pereira with him, but it's Kelvin van der Linde who's going to be giving him a big headache.
He knows he's got a quick car though. If it wasn't for the track limits, and he had put in a lap time that was good enough to be on pole, Bortolotti, but the trouble is they're all so evenly matched, and trying to find a way through ain't going to be easy. But Hockenheim, the track where you can overtake, showing his nose there was his teammate Frank Pereira, but it wasn't to try and overtake, it was to defend the inside line from Marco Wittmann, who 9th place, who knows how to win 2 championship titles and multiple races, and couldn't give a hoot about the championship scenario this year. He just wants to try and get that BMW up onto the podium for the first time this season for Project One. So Pereira's playing rear gunner here, trying to fend off a queue of cars, which is led by Marco Wittmann. He also got Lucas Stoltz, Lucas Auer in there, Lauren Heinrich. That's quite a queue, isn't it? That's going to be a long, hard afternoon for Frank Pereira to keep that lot behind him.
Yes, the big queue of cars trying to break out of that. That's going to be fun. Just to remind you, team orders are not permitted at the risk of a €250,000 fine. But if a teammate chooses to help his teammate, then that is all permissible. And you can see certainly a lot of strategy unfolding here. We're going to have a pit window opening before too long in about 8.25 minutes. That might change the complexion of this race.
Just watching Fella out to the last two turns. He's really quick through turns 16 and 17. But as he said, the car just seems to run out of legs on the start-finish straight. The BWT race laps for Wells in Africa have broken all records in the third season of raising money for these poor African countries to try and improve their well system. 60,000 plus euros raised, €4 per combined race lap given. So every lap from every car multiplied, added together. And that means that well over 160,000 euros has been donated over the last 3 years alone. So terrific cause that on BWT and the ADAC who run the championship. And on board with Ricardo Felix. This has got his mirror back here because yesterday he had an issue with the damper, went off the road, clattered into one of the ADAC marker boards on the way to the Sachs curve and wiped out his right wing mirror. Looking in his wing mirrors, he's going to be Jack Aitken, and he's got this blue missile all over him at the moment. Every time he gets into a braking zone, Ricardo is there, but he's proven to be a real thorn in the side here of the Swiss driver is Jack Aitken. He just cannot quite find a way past him.
The vast wealth of experience that Jack Aitken has putting to good effect, keeping both of the AB Sportsline Audis behind him are still into this race, almost quarter distance. Thomas Preining, in the meantime, at the front, has now put in the best lap of anybody, a 1:39.72. So Thomas Preining now starting to stretch his legs. He's got about a second over Dennis Olsen, and he is about 6/10 ahead of Christian Engelhardt.
So Arjamani just got a warning, a black and white flag for forcing the 99 car off the road. That was the incident from right at the beginning of the race. And so he gets away with that one effectively. Marvin Dietz and Arjun Miney still together on track, actually. Marvin in the 99 Porsche running 14th, Arjun in the number 36 Mercedes running just behind him. So they're both in the points in 14th and 15th positions as it stands. On board with Mirko Bortolotti, he's going to be sick to the back teeth are looking at that rear wing of Kelvin van der Linde. If this goes on for much longer, it would have seemed like a very long 14 minutes. So then they're going to start to think, well, what can we do? If we can't get past him, then you've got to start thinking about maybe a plan B or a plan C with your pit strategy, haven't you, Brian?
Yes, if you're stuck in traffic, then what you're going to want to do is get in early when the pit window opens and get back out on some open track. But the pit window is still some 5 3/4 minutes away, so he's losing time. And one of the Attempto cars going to the inside of Mauro Engel into the hairpin as well. So that'll be Matteo Drudi coming up to 20th place.
Bad news for Ricardo Fella is that there is a pit stop team championship this year as well. The fastest 3 pit stops earn 3, 2 and 1 points respectively each race. And the team that leads the standings have had the best pit stops overall this year are Emil Frey Racing. And who do they run? Jack Aitken, the driver he just can't find a way past at the moment. So his chances of trying to find a way past in the pit lane, based on those stats, are pretty minimal.
We had tried one of the pit stops in a challenge yesterday, and it took us nearly 20 seconds, and they do it in, 5, 6, 7 seconds. It is an incredible feat. This is a team sport, and the team are going to have a big part to play once this pit window opens.
Yeah, 20 seconds, but we started at 1:20, Brian, so we did get a lot better after a few goes at it, but we were pretty calamitous, I have to say. Yeah, it's just incredible. I appreciate it anyway, but I really appreciate how slick the teams are now. You've got to get it all absolutely perfect. Get that wheel gun lined up. You take it off, you take the wheel with you. You've got to get the wheel off the right way, so they're not holding the tyre like we were yesterday. You've got to hold the spokes, drag it off, take the wheel gun with you, flick it into mode 2, then put the anti-clockwise rotation into a clockwise direction. It's all going on in 5 seconds flat. Very sweaty Luca Engstler there, because it is going to be hot in the cockpit of these cars. He comes into the pit lane and on his way through with an unscheduled pit stop, this one.
That looks terminal, doesn't it? So, yes, coming in slowly. The team are ready. Luca Engstler, one of the hardest working men in the pit lane. Look at that, the car now going into retirement. So his afternoon is over. He will get one more chance this season in tomorrow's race, but that's not the way he wanted this afternoon to play out.
Well, if you have a technical problem, then you can box and retire the car. It's up to you. Yeah, honestly, something is wrong with the car.
There's that slightly delayed transmission, and team saying, it's up to you, do you want to retire the car? And Luke was like, yeah, there's definitely something wrong with it. So for safety reasons, I think, or to not cause any further grief to the car, looking ahead to tomorrow, they've decided to retire the Liqui Moly Team Engst the car, a family-run team that, and the youngster, the former TCR Germany and Malaysia champion, his first season at DTM, scored multiple points this year. He's done a pretty good job, I reckon, but not to be today for him. So it's the second retirement, with Ayan Nguyen also out of the race for Team 75, Koos Bernhard. So Thomas Preining leads, 1.5 seconds clear of his teammate Dennis Olsen. Christian Engelhardt currently running in third place. He's about 0.7 of a second adrift of Dennis Olsen. Jack Aitken fourth, Ricardo Feller fifth, Kelvin van der Linde sixth, and Mirko Bortolotti seventh. And with Thomas Preining stays first, Bortolotti's got to finish at least sixth to keep the championship fight alive into the final day tomorrow. The drama that he's got is that he's got two Sports Line Audis directly ahead of him. Ricardo Feller, who also needs to outscore realistically Thomas Preining, and he certainly needs to improve upon fifth place. And they got Kelvin van der Linde, who is the rear gunner effectively for Ricardo in the black number 3 Audi. So there is the gap from first to second. It's starting to increase. I've been watching Thomas Preining through this last section when they come in front of us on the way through Mobile 1 curve and the Sachs curve and through the last 2 turns. He looks supremely smooth. So he's looking after the tyres as well as being very quick, I think.
Yeah, and I don't think Dennis Olsen is backing off. I don't think there's any issues of him trying to help his teammate by backing out of it, because his lap times are pretty similar. But Thomas Preining just has that little something extra at the moment, doesn't he? Something, as you say, really smooth driving. And it's enabling him to open up the gap at the front. 1.482 seconds last time they passed the start-finish line. So Thomas Preining still very much in control.
Yeah, he is. The gap's just growing from first to second, second to third, and then third to fourth, and actually from fourth to fifth now, because into his shot next comes Jack Aitken, no longer with Ricardo Feller all over him as he was for so many laps. So that battle has just calmed down a little bit now, whether that maybe Ricardo just used up his tyres a bit too much. I mean, he was fearsome. He threw absolutely everything at it. I mean, 10 out of 10 for tries from Ricardo Feller. He didn't leave anything out there at all, did he?
No, I do wonder if he's taken a little bit too much out of the tyres. I do also wonder whether when the pit window opens in just over a minute's time, whether Feller might be one of the early stoppers in an attempt to do an undercut on Jack Aitken. Good luck with that one, mate. Into the hairpin. That is second and third closing up. Christian Engelhardt hasn't given up on second place yet. Here's Jack Aitken's team radio.
In the tyres.
So it's going to be an early pit stop by the sounds of it for the Emil Frey Racing Ferrari. We'll change all 4 tyres. They get 4 sets to last Saturday and Sunday at this race. So 2 qualifying sessions, 2 races, 4 sets of Pirelli slick tyres. I'll change the rears, then the fronts, and the really, really quick teams. And Emil Frey Racing are just about the best of them. Will be able to do it in under 6 seconds. Team points wise at the moment, perfect score for Manthey EMA. They're on for 45 points with first and second. SSR, who are second in the points, are on for 21, and Schubert are on for 17. So if it stays like this, the gap will be 51 points, and Manthey will therefore be the team's champions as well as the drivers' champions. If it stays like this, guess who's coming in together then? Jack Aitken, Ricardo Feller. That's the last thing Ricardo Feller wanted to see.
We thought Feller was going to stop early. He did not want Jack Aitken to do that as well. So it's now down to the crews to not make any mistakes. So there's the ABS team working hard on the tyres. Rear tyres first, then to the front. Limited number of people allowed to work on the car. Did a lot quicker than we did. Now off the jacks, away he goes. Where's Jack Aitken? Has he got out in front of him or is he behind?
In front, of course. So, heart-sinking moment that for Ricardo Feller. Great race between the 2 pit crews there. So 2 very, very good stops, but very early stops as well. Now got to go for 40-odd minutes on these tyres. They've got to make them last. No tyre warmers, so it'll take a little bit of time to get the tyres up to temperature for them. So 6.1 seconds, the best pit stop time. Oh no, second best pit stop time. That was Project 1 with a really good pit stop, but 5.7 for Jack Aitken and Emil Frey Racing. They've done it again. I think that might be their best of the year.
Yeah, it is.
So excellent from them. And Ricardo Feller's was a 7.7. So 2 seconds gained, but maybe on the in and the out, Ricciardo's reeled a bit of that back in already, hasn't he? Look, he's all over him, so he's pushing hard on cold tyres, a bit wide on the way through the hairpin though, and loses traction.
I think this is the opportunity for Ricciardo Fella now. It's probably all or nothing if he wants to get past Jack Aitken while those tyres are fresh. Meanwhile, the leaders continue to stretch their legs out the front. Preining staying out. Get the feeling he might stay out quite a long time. Now Kelvin van der Linde peeling off into the pit lane. Now, which of the SSR cars was that came in as well?
Marco Bortolotti.
It is Bortolotti.
So he's in, he gets right underneath the rear wing of Kelvin van der Linde, hits the brakes, gets the car slowed down before the line to adhere to the maximum pit lane speed limit. The lollipops away, come in, roll up, here we go, look at this, trying to do this in less than 7 seconds ideally. Slick work from the SSR performance team, and didn't look bad at all. Can he get ahead of Kelvin van der Linde? Yes, he can. He's going to get ahead of the South African. An absolutely critical move that in the pits from SSR Performance, and that effectively will get him up when it all settles down into at least 6th place, which is what he needed to keep the fight alive.
Brilliant stuff. This is a team sport. Now in the background, here comes Jack Aitken and Ricciardo Fellow, so they have caught up with them as well. So Bortolotti's team, the SSR Performance team, have done a great job getting him in front of that lot.
Well, Ricciardo Fellow all the way around the outside of Kelvin van der Linde, who mysteriously goes quite slow through that corner. But of course, he also then loses the chance to try and do anything about Jack Aitken. So Bortolotti is the best of the pit stoppers, followed by Aitken, followed by Ricciardo Fella. But Ricciardo Fella is going to be going on the attack here. His tyres will now be pretty much up to temperature. Look how much he closes to the back of the Ferrari. And they all concertina up together. Lamborghini to Ferrari, Ferrari to Audi. You're on board with Mirko Bortolotti, who's the net leader. He's the one that's got the best of the pit stops so far. But of course, he's not going to be the overall leader unless others like Preining, Olsen, Engelhardt have a disaster. But Ricciardo Fella must sense that this is the opportunity for him to pick up a couple of places here. He looks up the inside of Jack Aitken. He's been alongside him, he's been in front of him, he's been stuck behind him all the way through the race so far. Jack Aitken is going for it as well. He didn't care about the points, he just wants to get on the podium. And here they go, absolutely side by side, coming towards the Sachs curve. On the inside is Mirko Bortolotti, on the outside is Jack Aitken. And Ricciardo Fella might be able to nibble at the inside of the pair of them. They're going to be 3 abreast, 3 together as they work through turn 15 all over the curves. Goes the Ferrari of Jack Aitken. Thou shalt not pass, says the British driver. But look at this, Fella at the inside of Bortolotti, and he gets ahead of him with a great piece of opportunistic driving.
Yes, Jack Aitken knew that he had to get past while the tyres were getting up to temperature. That's exactly what he did. Ricciardo Fella as well. So all the hard work from SSR Performance in that pit stop is all for nothing as he drops back down again. The fight's going on behind. Now Kelvin van der Linde is putting the heat onto Mirko Bortolotti, looking to the outside, then back to the inside.
If you're hoping for a quiet Saturday afternoon in front of the television, good luck. It ain't happening today. Look at this for driving. Absolutely terrific. Bortolotti was under attack from every direction here. But this is clever driving from Ricciardo Fella. He just leaves it a beat and gets through.
Push me, man. He pushed me. You have to give the position back. Come on.
Copy. Keep pushing, mate. Come on, keep pushing.
Bortolotti now has pushed. He's got to give me the position back. As much as anything, that's to notify those listening from race control. Yeah, you've got to look at this. He's got to give me the place back, says Bortolotti. He's arguing his case. His teammate from Pereira under investigation for speeding in the pit lane as well. Not ideal. And now Thomas Preining comes into the pits. Christian Engelhardt comes in. So Olsen will pick up the lead for now ahead of Pereira and Dienst. But Preining with a critical pit stop now with the team. And there is Kelvin van der Linde about to get up the inside of Mirko Bortolotti. Goes from bad to worse for the Italian after a great pit stop, which all looked like it was about to turn things around for him. That looked good. Issue at the start of the year at Oschersleben was pit stops. That cost him a win, but it's been a beautiful pit stop there. Thomas Preining is released 6.5 seconds. It's not the fastest, but it's certainly one of them.
Yeah, they've done all he needs to do, so he is going to retain the lead when all the pit stops are done. Christian Engelhardt has lost a bit of space. Here comes past him Dennis Olsen and Mirko Bortolotti.
So here is from Pereira with all over him now, Jack Aitken. And guess who? Ricciardo Fella. And Fella tries to go at the inside now. He's going to be up the inside. He's got a Lamborghini in the way, though. Pereira's trying to make that as wide as he can. 4 places back now as his teammate, and Pereira lets them go. He has to. He drops out of the corner. So both the Audi and the Ferrari get past, and the Audi gets to the head of the queue. So finally, Riccardo Fella has got past Jack Aitken, and now he might get a bit of assistance with his teammate Kelvin van der Linde, trying to do exactly the same on the way into the hairpin at turn 6. Fella's gone out wide, look though. Ooh, almost gave the place back. It's serving a penalty lap there for Pereira for speeding in the pit lane. So that was why he backed off out of it. So Bortolotti's dropped behind all 3 of these, and he's also lost effectively the help of his teammate now from Pereira. 3 minutes ago, it all looked great when he had that pit stop, and it's all gone very wrong very quickly, hasn't it?
Yeah, it was a great pit strategy, but it just hasn't played out on track and been caught in the traffic there as well. So all that hard work to do again, sometimes it just doesn't go your way. At the moment, René Rast is the leader, but of course he hasn't had his pit stop yet. Thomas Preining still has the advantage with Dennis Olsen behind him.
Yeah, they're just coming out of the last turn, so Preining is the next leader. He's the first of the pit stoppers. His gap back to Olsen is about what it was before the pit stops, I would say. So Olsen is a net second. Engelhart's lost a lot of time though. He is a net third, but he's lost a lot of ground to Dennis Olsen. A net fourth is Fella. A net fifth is going to be Aitken. 6th, when it all settles down, should be Kelvin van der Linde. And in the doomed 7th place, where he don't want to be, is Mirko Bortolotti. 7th, he's no good if Preining wins. He's out of the championship equation.
So the stewards were listening to Mirko Bortolotti. They've shown the black and white flag to Kelvin van der Linde for forcing car 92 off the track. So that is just a warning at the moment, but if anything else happens like that, as we look at a replay of the challenge on Jack Aitken, and there was Riccardo Fella finding the route past.
Yeah, Aitken just got wrong-footed really by that Lamborghini from Pereira, didn't he? And that was the beat that Fella needed him to miss, and that was where he pounced. So it was here where Jack Aitken, he gets stranded, look, gets stuck behind the Lamborghini from Pereira, who squeezes him, gets through there, there's the contact, but he sends him out wide. And in that moment, Riccardo Fella held his breath, closed his eyes, or widened them, and went for it, and it paid off. He got ahead, he needed to.
So the team's looking on very tense indeed. Here's our race leader still choosing to stay out another lap. So René Rast continuing to lead the race. Of course, he still has to make the stop. Mauro Engel in 2nd place, also still to stop. And David Schumacher in 3rd place. Patrick Niederhauser, Yusuf Avega, all drivers that need to stop. Then is that man there, Thomas Preining, who's looking likely to retain the lead once the pit windows have closed. And there's Yusuf Avega peeling off in for his mandatory stop.
And a reminder that as well as this race is going for Riccardo Fella, it's still not enough to keep him in the championship fight either. He has got to outscore Thomas Preining by 6 points at least in this race, and he's being outscored by the Austrian as it stands. So it's still going the way of Thomas Preining. A 1-2 as well, depending on where it all settles down behind them, might well be enough to wrap up the team's championship for Manthey EMA, who have already announced they're going to be back in DTM next year as well, with which drivers we don't yet know, which car we don't yet know, although we can probably guess. They're going to be with the World Endurance Championship again next year after a year away as well. I left Manthey himself, only for a few races back in the early 1990s, raced in DTM, ran his own team back then, but it was 2002 since they were last involved in the championship. It's been quite the return, this.
We're approaching the halfway point of the race, and the fastest lap is now in the hands of Riccardo Fella. He's down in 9th place, but clearly the Audi has the pace, but he's just not in the track position that he wants to be in. But a 1:39.175 for Riccardo Fella.
Is that Pereira with another serving of the penalty? But yes, it is. So yeah, he was obviously exceeding the pit lane speed limit by a fair old bit, wasn't he? So he's got to go through there again at 50 kilometres an hour through that penalty box on the way out of turn 6. Cost you 5 seconds each time. So Frenchman's race crumbling in front of his very eyes. The on-track race leader is René Rast. He's just at turn 1 at the moment, ahead of Mauro Engel, who's crossing the line in a moment in the Mercedes. And then David Schumacher is 3rd currently. Another driver was involved in that massive crash here at Hockenheim on the Saturday of last year. Although Schumacher's gone into the pits now, so Niederhauser will pick up 3rd. So up to 4th on the road is going to be Thomas Preining, who in reality is the race leader. He'll go through with a 1.7 second advantage over Dennis Olsen. Of course, he's never going to overtake him for this race because he's in the same team and he wants Thomas to win the race and he wants the team to get all 45 points.
Christian Engelhardt is looking solid for what will be a net 3rd place, but he's dropped back from the cars in front of him. So he's some 4.3 seconds back from Dennis Olsen. He's not really got the pace to do anything about the Porsches at the moment, and certainly not at this stage of the race.
Looks like we've lost Tim Heinemann as well. He's been in the pits for quite some time, possibly Alessio Delader, who's been in the pits for longer than he should have as well. Although back out onto track to use this as a bit of a test session has gone Angel Gouin after dropping out a couple of laps into the race. So the Porsche back out on track.
So cars now just settling down a little bit, but we're not done yet. This pit window is still open for another 8 minutes and 20 seconds. We've still got 3 cars that are yet to make their mandatory stop: René Rast, Mauro Engel and Patrick Niederhauser. But still plenty to play out here in this race, the penultimate race of the season in the DTM.
Well, Kelvin van der Linde has certainly played his part in this race, and it looks like he's going to be able to continue to do so for his teammate. It might all be in vain as René Rast comes in from the lead of the race, looking for his 50th podium in DTM. I don't think it's going to happen today, but what a career that man has had. With 26 race wins already since he first came into the championship, 3 titles, and René Rast's first season as a BMW driver. He gets the Schubert car back out now, just trying to get some points out of this from a lowly grid position. What was he back in 17th spot, with Sheldon van der Linde starting back in 27th position.
I think René Rast has already checked out of 2023 and is focused on 24. He's had this year to get used to driving that BMW, having been a seasoned Audi campaigner. He's now got to grips with it. He proved that at the Red Bull Ring last time out. But now he's just trying to pick up the points in this race. But it's next year when he really wants to make his challenge. Our race leader now, Mauro Engel. He's the only driver who has not pitted, but he will need to do that within the next 7 minutes.
Well, Rast rejoined just behind Thierry Vermeulen, so that's going to put him 14th as it stands, but still with Engel to make his pit stop, Niederhauser still to make a pit stop as well. They both should drop behind him, so he should pan out with René Rast in around about 12th place, which is more than good enough to score some points. Good news, Luca Engstler about to go back out as well and rejoin the action. So worth doing this. He's not going to score anything out of it unless there's disasters, but that's a big old lock-up straight away as he goes out onto the track from the pit lane. So he goes wide and has to get right off the throttle there and sort it all out again. But it's worth getting out there just to use this as a test session to make sure things are sorted for tomorrow.
Yeah, cold tyres coming out the pits. Right, the last remaining car that has not pitted has now just entered the pits. So Mauro Engel peels off into the pits. The race is returned back into the hands of Thomas Preining, who now sets the pace at the front with Dennis Olsen in 2nd place. And then across the line, Christian Engelhardt in the GRT Grasser Lamborghini. Having a look at Mauro Engel's stop, once again, well rehearsed. These teams practice so much. A cloud of brake dust, drop it off the jacks, and away he goes.
So Preining first, Olsen second, Engelhardt third, Feller fourth, Aitken fifth, van der Linde sixth, Bortolotti seventh, Stotz eighth, Wittmann ninth, and Heinrich 10th is what it should be when it all settles down. 25 points coming the way of Thomas Preining, Bortolotti on for 9 points for 7th, 13 points coming the way of Ricardo Feller if he finishes where he is in 4th place. As Lucas Auer gets up the inside of fellow Mercedes driver Arjun Maini, and René Rast, not long after his pit stop with a problem, is limping, and that's a front right puncture for René Rast.
Oh, what a shame. Good pit stop, but yes, it's going to be a long old lap to get back round to the pits, so any chance of points pretty well gone now.
So the brief is clear now. It looks like Thomas Preining, although still 25 minutes plus a lap to go, but it looks like he's on for the win here. So Bortolotti has got to overtake one car at least. That's where the puncher came from. Yeah, we saw the start of the manoeuvre between Lucas Auer and Arjun Maini, and I think that was just after this corner, wasn't it, where these two came together. Rast trying to get at the inside of Maini, the coming together that caused the puncture. Farrell third, and that was why Lucas Auer was all over Arjun Maini, who's got this rear-facing onboard camera on the way to the next corner. So we'll stay with it a bit longer. You would have seen Lucas having a launch up the inside, as we hear from René Rast.
The damage, fire, the damage, everything is damaged.
Copy that.
Yeah, might be more than tyre damage as well.
It's on fire as well. Looks like things, is it? Was that?
Yeah,
it looks like flames
from underneath the front grille of the BMW. under investigation, that incident. That's not going to help René Rast out, is it?
I don't think it's flames. I think it's the bodywork flapping.
No, it's the toe hook, isn't it?
Yes.
The toe hook flapping, yeah. So.
Yes. It's like one of those lamps you can buy, isn't it?
It looks exactly like that. Yeah, it did look like that. Anyway, it's not as bad as it could have been,
yes.
But it's not good for René Rast. So, Thomas Preining's going to be 3 seconds clear now. Confirmation of what we just said. He's on course to be the champion. 29 points clear. There's only 28 points still available. Dad can barely blink. He can't. Oh, you there?
One blink.
He can't blink, but he can wink.
Half a blink.
Half a sigh of relief there. Half a smile. But his focus will be completely on the screen. How proud are they going to be of this young man? 5 years ago, he won the Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland. He's on course to win the DTM.
Is Dennis P2 or how is the situation where this is?
Yes, confirmed. You're doing a brilliant job. Dennis is P2. We are still leading the race. We just keep going. Just keep going. Your pace is very good. The gap is constant. We just bring it home.
Music to his ears, that. Is Dennis still second? Yeah, great, great. I've got a bit of a, there's René Rast tyre, what's left of it. He's just come into the pits. And that departed company with the BMW just before he got to the pit lane entry.
Yes, the race engineer, part race engineer, part therapist, just keeping him calm. Not that Thomas Preining needs to be kept calm. He's been as cool as a cucumber all weekend, but it's just saying, yeah, everything's good. Keep doing what you're doing and you'll be champion. But yes, the René Rast tyre coming to rest in the runoff area. His afternoon is over.
But hold on to your hats, everybody. Mirko Bortolotti is not done yet. He was half a tenth quicker than Van der Linde. He's closing up.
22 minutes. We need to overtake Kelvin. Come on, push, mate.
Just need to keep him in the loop, don't they? Don't sit behind. Not that I think Mirko would have, but don't sit behind him. Here we go. He's winding it up. This could take the title fight into round 16, into Sunday, if he get into the top 6, if he can pull off this move. Kelvin van der Linde has got the inside line though on the way to turn 6 at the hairpin. They come out of first gear, go up through the gears. They'll be pushing 200 kilometres an hour any second now. Bortolotti, a brave effort, but into turn 7, the Audi's still ahead. Often happens here into that hairpin. You dive down the inside, you scrub off too much speed. And the car you've just overtaken, or you think you've just overtaken, gets the better run out of the corner and just drives back ahead of you.
That's why we love the hairpin. You get the chance coming in, you get the chance coming out. Mirko Bortolotti's not done yet. He's tucked up behind Kelvin van der Linde. A tough man to pass on the best of days. This part of the section of the circuit, he's not going to get past him, but he might try and line him up along the pit straight, but it's probably up towards the hairpin next time around, which will be his best opportunity.
Those steely blue Italian eyes are fully focused on that rear wing of Kelvin van der Linde. He is going to give this absolutely everything now. He doesn't care whether he finishes 7th, 8th or doesn't finish at all. None of it's any good to him if he can't stay in the championship fight. So it is go for it or forget about it now. And Mirko Bortolotti is always going to choose option A. This could be a firecracker.
So this is it then, along the Parabolica, the corner that is taken absolutely flat out, then up towards the hairpin. This will be Bortolotti's opportunity to get close to Kelvin van der Linde. They'll come up here absolutely foot to the floor all the way, then the heavy braking into the 180-degree right-hander. So Kelvin van der Linde in front at the moment. Mirko Bortolotti, is he close enough to do anything about it? Van der Linde will try and take the tighter line into the corner. He's got the good line in. The acceleration out. Bortolotti's got nothing for him at the moment.
By my very old math skills from a very long time ago at school, I reckon Manthey is still just on to seal the team's championship as well with a 1-2. Abt are their nearest rivals in the points and in this race effectively as well in terms of points scored. And they are 4th and 6th with Ricardo Feller and Kelvin van der Linde, which give them 23 points. So the gap would be 49, but there's only 45 still available tomorrow. So could be double celebration, double bubble for Manthey and Thomas Preining if it stays like this. So Abt have got to, from the team's perspective as well, need Kelvin van der Linde to keep a hold of these points and ideally gain a place or two, and the same for Ricardo Feller. But Ricardo is 3.7 seconds adrift of Christian Engelhardt, so 4th place at the moment looks as good as it's going to get for him.
Yes, as our team looking on, they can see this championship slipping away. Bortolotti needs to get past. He's still got 19 minutes plus 1 lap in which to do it. The AB team also looking on, so much tension in the pits.
Right, let's get some news and reaction down in the pit lane with Verena.
And I've got René Rast here. René, what a shame. Not, what happened?
We had a very aggressive strategy. We went out on cold tires and came out in front of, 5-6 cars. And obviously they tried to pass me. Unfortunately, there was lots of contact, and in the end, I had I think the front right tire just exploded.
So just tough luck.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much, René. Back to you.
Yeah, real shame for René. It's going to turn out to be his worst season so far in DTM, but that's just a measure of how much success he's had over the years, as we can hear now from Mirko Bortolotti.
Kelvin got the warning for track limits, so keep the pressure up.
Keep the pressure up. It's all he can do, isn't it? Because at the moment, Bridie's not quite close enough to go on one of those attacks again.
No, and he needs the tyres to last to the end as well, but it's just trying to pressure the car in front into making a mistake. Well, good luck with that with Kelvin van der Linde. We've had no confirmation of any warnings for Kelvin van der Linde in terms of track limits on our timing screens, but the team will be doing whatever they can to motivate Mirko Bortolotti to try and get past the number 3 car.
By my maths, as it stands, Porsche are going to do enough to wrap up the Brands Championship as well. I reckon a 67 clear as it stands of Lamborghini, 45 available after today. So all 3 championship titles could be decided if it stays like this for the next 17.5 minutes plus 1 lap of round 15 of DTM 2023. Thomas Preining controlling things, doing absolutely everything that's been required of him so far. Mirko Bortolotti will keep on thinking about that lap in qualifying. What if he hadn't had it taken away from him? What if he'd been on pole position, which was where he was with that lap before it was exceeded track limits? It could have been just a matter of a centimetre, a few millimetres, that has potentially cost him a chance at the championship tomorrow.
Yes, all these thoughts going through his head, but he will need to just stay focused. That looked like Hockenheimring coming under pressure from Thierry Vermeulen. Thierry Vermeulen, who has a sticker on his dashboard with AM written on it, which was placed there by Jack Aitken to let him know who's still the boss.
Track limits again.
Yes.
Yes, says Mirko. Well, that hasn't come up on our screen, has it? A warning for that one. But the team have obviously registered that. So, or are they talking about Kelvin van der Linde? Anyway, the very monosyllabic answer from Mirko Bortolotti tells you that every ounce of his focus and concentration is going into hustling that Lamborghini Huracan Evo 2 at the moment to try and get him closer. Here's your race leader, Thomas Preining, through shot. Dennis Olsen in second. Christian Engelhardt in third place, a race winner at his first weekend of DTM at Oschersleben with the Top Sport team in their local circuit in the Porsche. Now with Grasser Racing, back to the team he raced with from 2016 to 2019. He's won 14 races with them. He's about to get a podium for them as well. It looks like they're in third place. Ricardo Feller, first one in his shot, 4th. 5th, Jack Aitken. 6th, Kelvin van der Linde. And 7th, which is no good for the championship for Mirko Bortolotti. If he gets 6th place, if he get 1 place, he'll just about keep it going into tomorrow. But even then, Brian, even if he gets 6th place, he's going to be 28 points behind with only 28 available. He's going to need the perfect day and for Preining to have the worst day possible.
Yes, and unfortunately for him, Thomas Preining is pretty consistent in the extent he's finishing the points in every race this season. So that's going to be wishful thinking on his part. But while there's life in the old dog yet, you know he's going to keep pushing. Meanwhile, Thomas Preining is just quarter of an hour away from potentially his first ever DTM championship. Jack Aitken there, we just saw him weaving. Interesting, this far after his pit stop, still trying to get heat into the tyres.
Further back down the screens, not something you often say this, Lucas Auer and Sheldon van der Linde battling over the final championship point in 15th and 16th. So they're only half a second apart. And those two were battling for the championship at this race last year, remember? They were 1st and 2nd, van der Linde and Auer in the 2022 championship, with Lucas Auer a winner on the Saturday here, the final weekend of last season. How things can change. It's so tight in the DTM. It gets tighter every year. but 12 different race winners this year. There's only been one season in the history of the DTM when we've had more different race winners than that. That was in 2015, where there were 14, and there were more races that year as well. So it is just incredibly tight out there. You're talking fractions of a second, Brian, that cost you the chance at pole position and dump you down into about 10th place in qualifying. It's that tight, isn't it?
Yes, we've seen it all year long, less than a second covering most of the grid. And of course, track limits have always been an issue at every event. Now, Hockenheimring's just peeled off into the pits. That's an unscheduled stop for him. So he's another driver who looks like he's coming into retirement.
Yeah, I wonder if that's that battering they had with Reddy Rast or some other problem. It kind of helped, can it? But Hockenheimring, yeah, I'm afraid straight into the garage. Things have started to be on the upshoot for him after what was a really tough first half of the year. He started to pick up some points over the last few rounds, but the Indian driver, it's been a tough season for him. Hopefully he's going to come back and have another go next year, because he's proven time and time again that he's a very rapid driver, been up on the podium, and it'll be a welcome addition if we get him back in the championship next year. But just a tough year for him this season. Well, Riccardo Fella has given us all the entertainment over the last couple of weekends, hasn't he? The Red Bull Ring with that storming drive from 26th to 3rd, which still for my money was the drive of the season from anybody. And then that battle that he had with Jack Aitken for, I don't know how many laps, Brian, 8, 9, 10 laps. Incredible, wasn't it?
Yes, absolutely brilliant. Don't you just love it? The people who are the best in the game running together on the track, fighting each other side by side. This is why we love DTM. We're riding on board with the outgoing champion, Sheldon van der Linde for Schubert Motorsport. He will not be retaining his championship. Currently still in 16th place, still looking for that solitary point of 15th.
He was asked about the fact that he was, before the start of the weekend, almost mathematically out of the championship. He said, yeah, it's annoying, but you can't win them all, can you? But can Mirko Bortolotti have one last roll of the dice here? He was side by side with Kelvin van der Linde again then, just trying to get this slender slither of hope going into tomorrow. 6th place. I mean, he's still going to have an almighty task ahead to keep the championship going, but at least it would go to the final day if he can somehow find a way past Kelvin van der Linde in the world's widest Audi.
God, he had to get it slowed down. You saw a little bit of contact, the wing mirror, but still Kelvin van der Linde was in front. Now Bortolotti alongside. It's a drag race towards turn 7. We're looking at Mirko Bortolotti just staring ahead.
Oh.
Has he done it? Yes, he has. Kelvin van der Linde goes wide. Mirko Bortolotti is through.
Gives him a tap on the shoulder on the way through the next corner. But he's through, and he's up to 6th place. And Thomas Preining and his family and everybody at Manthey, their hearts will sink, because they, at the moment, won't quite be able to celebrate the championship. Bortolotti, if he finishes 6th, of course, that now is going to give him 10 points rather than 9. He's going to be 28 behind with 28 available. So it will be almost job done, but not quite for Thomas Preining. And Mirko Bortolotti was always going to go for it, and that he did, Brian.
Yes, it's all or nothing. Not interested in being the bridesmaid. He's going to take this championship to the absolute bitter end if he can. You see how quickly he's dropping Kelvin van der Linde now. He had the pace. He's going to set about Jack Aitken now, see if he can improve that cushion into tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, he's still going to be thinking, it's not really good enough, is it? 28 behind with 28 still available. You're almost at the point at which you need a miracle to happen on Sunday. So he is going to be going for it, no doubt about it. There's replay contact. Kelvin van der Linde's going to have something to say about it, I think, on the radio.
Stay off the track at turn 7.
Copy, we saw.
Well, that's the cleanest message we've heard from Kelvin van der Linde this year.
I'm impressed, Brian. There wasn't an F-bomb in there at all. Not a Kelvin. Right, we don't have to apologise for that again. That was very calm from Kelvin, pushing off the track. Yeah, OK. It's registered. That's what that move meant to everybody at SSR Performance. It's almost a sigh of relief more than anything, but he has dropped him now, and you're right, he's gunning next for Jack Aitken in the Ferrari, and it won't be the first time these two have been together in the race either. Two famous Italian brands, probably the most famous Italian brands, about to go to war here on the track, I reckon, because Bortolotti is inching up towards Aitken. Aitken in 5th, Bortolotti in 6th. They went through the first sector with a 10th quicker for the Italian driver. Through the second sector, Bortolotti does a personal best of the race.
Sheldon van der Linde still fighting Lucas Auer for that last point, 15th place. He's finally made it through. So Sheldon van der Linde celebrating his last weekend as champion by at least getting into the points today. Meanwhile, at the other end, Thomas Preining still leading the way. Dennis Olsen, there's your 1, 2, 3. Christian Engelhardt there as well. Ricardo Feller, he's a long way back with Jack Aitken, the man who's pushing forwards. Mirko Bortolotti, he says, watch out, Jack Aitken, I'm coming after you.
He is pushing that car to the absolute limits, isn't he? Replay of that move coming together on the way into the hairpin, and then the move on the way out of the turn.
See a damage on the front, mate, on the front at the splitter. So for sure, front axle will not be perfect.
Yeah, he's dropped back quite quickly, hasn't he, since that move? So I think he's carrying a bit of damage now. He's the South African driver.
Yes, he is, and that is just going to, well, that's not going to improve his afternoon at all. You saw the damage, you saw the contact, the bits flying up into the air, and he will now be looking in his mirror because Lucas Stoltz is in 8th place. He is 2.3 seconds behind, so he should be able to hold him off with 8.25 minutes remaining. But yes, handling issues for Kelvin van der Linde.
Of course, that makes Ab's chances in terms of the team's championship even slimmer. They've lost a point as a result of that, with Kelvin van der Linde dropping from 6th to 7th. So 50 points the gap between Manthey and Ab Sportsline now, with 45 available. So they can celebrate, as it stands, 1 championship title, the team's championship title, and Porsche look like they're going to have enough in hand, more than enough in hand, to celebrate the Brands Championship as well. But as it stands, the big one, the Drivers' Championship title, will just about go through to tomorrow. So not quite celebration time for Thomas Preining, and he'll be slightly nervous going to sleep tonight if it stays like this, and slightly frustrated, I think, as well.
And that was me. I'll be waking up in the middle of the night in a panic, I should think. But Thomas Preining, he's experienced and he's ultra cool. Mirko Bortolotti is very cool too, because he is reeling in Jack Aitken just bit by bit. I think we're going to have a challenge. Bortolotti knows that if he can get past Jack Aitken, that's just a little less that he might have to make up tomorrow. We can see on the picture-in-picture Mirko Bortolotti looking pretty chilled at the wheel. Jack Aitken, though, a great defender in that Ferrari.
For their timing of their pit stops, Miney, Auer and Rast are all under investigation. Well, Rast and Miney are out, but Lucas Auer is out of the points as well, so it's not going to make that much difference to their days, really. But look at this. Mirko Bortolotti rolls his sleeves up once more. Now, Jack Aitken proved to be, I would say, Brian, slightly difficult to overtake for Ricardo Feller for the first half of the race. So Mirko, he's going to have his work cut out here. If he thinks he's going to get past Jack Aitken in a flash, it ain't going to happen.
Yes, Ricardo Feller would certainly agree with you on that one. I mean, he did it in the end, but Mirko Bortolotti is going to be as determined as they come. Jack Aitken, as we've already said, he is so experienced. He knows how to make that Ferrari as wide as possible. But Mirko Bortolotti knows all the tricks. He's now up with Jack Aitken. I think he's going to make a challenge as they head up towards the hairpin next time around.
There is very little that you can say is 100% certain in motorsport. That's why we love it. But one thing I can say with 100% certainty is that Mirko Bortolotti, at some point in the next 6 minutes, he's going to have a go at Jack Aitken. He's not going to settle for 6th place, even though it's good enough to carry the fight just about into tomorrow. He needs to get as many points from this race as he can, and actually he's got the speed to do it now, hasn't he? The Lamborghini is going well at this part of the race. It looks like he's looking after the tyres pretty well, and he's quicker than Aitken. And I would say, if you can get past Aitken, Ricardo Feller might not be quite out of reach either, and a 4th place finish.
Yes, Feller's taken quite a lot out of the tyres in the second stint of this race. Up towards the Parabolica, absolutely flat out. Bortolotti chooses the outside. Jack Aitken chooses the middle. Under braking, he hits the apex very nicely, has the acceleration out, but now Bortolotti comes around the outside, and they run side by side out towards 7, but it's advantage Bortolotti at the moment. But Jack Aitken has the racing line out of this corner, but now under heavy braking, Bortolotti takes that position away. Aitken coming back at him though.
Yeah, Bortolotti a bit wide, but I think he's got the job done. Jack Aitken would care to disagree about that. He's still fighting, still hanging the car all over. Look at this. He's close enough to give a wave to Jack Aitken here, but he ain't looking at him. He's just looking forwards. And that is another position gain to Jack Aitken. In trouble now. Has got Kelvin van der Linde all over him on the way to the next corner, on the way through Sachs Curva, and that just gives the Italian a bit more breathing space, and here comes Calvin. He wants the points for the team. He gets up the inside of the Emil Frey Racing Ferrari, and he gets past Jack Aitken as well on the way into the penultimate corner.
So once again, we recalculate the points as everything changes. Jack Aitken down 2 positions and falling into the clutches of Lucas Stoltz. You can see how quickly Mirko Bortolotti has left him behind. Kelvin van der Linde as well. I wonder if Jack Aitken's got a few issues there. Here's a replay of them running side by side. Bortolotti tried to come back onto the track. There was contact. Let's hear what Kelvin van der Linde has to say about it.
I don't know if this guy is blind, but how can Aitken not have a 5-second penalty by now? He's driving like an absolute idiot.
I know, mate. We keep focused. We keep focused. We see it on TV. The others also see it on TV. All good. We keep focused on our job now, and everything is fine.
Stay calm, he says, but he isn't very happy with Jack Aitken by the sounds of it there, is he? So getting a bit more emotional on this next radio call was Kelvin van der Linde. Fantastic battles we've had all the way through this race. So there, another point for Bortolotti with that move, 27 behind now. So he still needs almost the perfect. I mean, he's still going to have, you know, a win and second in qualifying, and for Preining to have no points tomorrow to win the championship. So still feel it's not probably going to be enough, but it's just giving himself a chance, isn't it? It's all he can do.
Well, if things finish as they are now, I would encourage you to tune in for qualifying tomorrow, because it may well be this championship is decided before they even take the green flag tomorrow afternoon. Of course, 3, 2, 1 points awarded for the 1, 2, 3 on the grid.
Yeah, and still with enough in hand for the team's championship, I reckon, Manthey, even though Kelvin van der Linde got that place back. They're 4th and 6th at the moment, and the AB drivers, so they're on for 23 points, but still 1st and 2nd, and Manthey still 49 ahead. Not 50, but 49, but only 45 left available. So Thomas Preining, 2 minutes, 22 seconds left on the clock, plus 1 lap. Will it seem like an eternity, or is he just in a rhythm and in the zone now? It all looks relatively comfortable. It's anything but for Mirko Bortolotti.
Laps to go. Come on, pushmate, get him.
And that tells you all you need to know. No answer. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try. Anyway, Mirko Bortolotti, 1.5 seconds behind Riccardo Feller. It's going to be a hell of a final 2 laps if he can close that sort of gap down. But if anybody can, Mirko can.
Yeah, good luck trying to get past Riccardo Feller. That's what I'd say. 1 minute and 3/4 plus 1 lap of this race remaining. Mirko Bortolotti, he will not give up. He's going to push all the way. 5th place at the moment. He can see 4th place ahead of him, but he's got to catch him. He's got to pass him. He's got 90 seconds plus 1 lap to do it. That feels like a bit of a tall order. Good news for him is that he's broken clear of Kelvin van der Linde, though.
Well, he was a 10.5 quicker than Feller through the first sector, and he's 2.5 tenths quicker through the middle sector. So the gap is coming down at the right rate of knots. If he can be something like 8 tenths, 9 tenths quicker on this lap, he's going to give himself half a chance in the closing stages. Now, what we've got left on the clock, a minute or so to go, and so the race leader's already through, so the clock is going to tick down to 0 on this lap, plus 1 more, so 2 laps, I reckon, for Bortolotti to catch and pass. Thomas Preining's done still transfixed with the screen. Thomas has done everything he can, but as it stands, he's going to have a big advantage, a huge championship lead. But we won't be able to call him the 2023 champion today. And that's thanks to the fighting spirit, the never-ending fighting spirit of Mirko Bortolotti.
Yes, Thomas Preining couldn't have done any more. He started on pole position and he has led every lap apart from through the pit window sequence, and he continues to lead this race. He just needs to do it. Yeah, that reflects what we're all thinking as well. He needs to keep doing it for the next 20 seconds plus 1 lap. So Thomas Preining, there's nothing more he could have done, and his teammate behind him as well.
So Olaf Manthey practicing his blue steel like that, wasn't it? Fantastic. Widening of the eyes. I was just thinking as we looked at him on the camera, he never gives anything away, does he, Olaf? But a twinkle in the eye, because they are on course for the team's championship and a very big leg up towards the drivers' championship as well. He's seen it all before, Olaf Manthey. He'll be the coolest person out there. Grello, friends, family and fans await a 1-2 finish for Thomas Preining and Dennis Olsen, which is less than a lap and a quarter away now, because heading towards the line now comes the race leader, the championship leader, Thomas Preining. Comes through to start the final lap of the race. Second place, his teammate Dennis Olsen, off his best result of the season. And then Christian Engelhardt on for a podium for the Grasso Racing team in third. But the battle, really, we're going to keep our eyes on this last lap, is between Feller and Bortolotti. He's done enough to give himself a half chance here. He's 0.783 seconds behind, so he's halved the gap. But closing the gap and passing, it's going to be quite the different matter, isn't it?
It's going to have to be an all or nothing move. He's going to get one opportunity if he's close enough, and that's a big if. There is Riccardo Feller, there is Mirko Bortolotti. I think he's just a little bit too far back. He might be able to close in under braking, but to get past Riccardo Feller, that is going to be a real challenge.
The move so far, I've given him one more point, but this one would give him 2 more, so it is worth going for it if he can. 13 points for 4th place, 11 points for 5th place, but you feel like that's one of the chances gone already through the hairpin into it and on the way out of it. But Mirko Bortolotti in the Sachs curver, wonder what's going to go on there. That's probably his best last chance of the race, coming into the arena section, almost within sight of the checkered flag. So he's just got to get close enough if he can. Riccardo Feller, who's done all the attacking in this race, a bit like when he came through the field at the Red Bull Ring, spends the last part of the race defending. That time it was from René Rast. This time it's going to be from Mirko Bortolotti. But here he comes. Thomas Preining has got 2 corners to go, and he's going to pick up his 2nd win of the season, his 3rd win, and he's going to give himself a huge championship lead. It won't quite be enough for the title, but Thomas Preining wins here at Hockenheim.
Win and race 1 at Hockenheim. Very good job, mate. Very good job. Still leading the championship. We just won the team championship. The driver championship will be decided tomorrow. We won the team championship. Thanks a lot, mate. Thanks a lot. Please, maximum fuel safe. Maximum fuel safe. Clean the tires. Clean the track. Clean the track.
Do your homework. Don't forget all that, but well done. Well, there you go.
What a beautiful day. Perfect. Thanks a lot, guys. That was mega.
Beautiful day, he says. Absolutely. I'd call it a 99%. It wasn't quite the 100, was it? Because he didn't quite have the championship title. But that gives us all potentially a thrilling, as you say, a thrilling qualifying session tomorrow, because he could seal the deal. After qualifying, there'll only be 25 points available. So he's got to close the gap, won't it? It's all gone wrong afterwards. It's just after the line, so Engelhardt has crossed the line. Well, is this for a photo opportunity? Because
yes.
2 Grasso Racing Lamborghinis have parked up in unison there with his teammate Clement Schmidt, who crossed the line in 12th place alongside as well. But yeah, they both stopped there after the line. But Preining wins, Olsen 2nd. As we said, that's enough for the Teams Championship for Manthey EMA to take their first DTM Teams Championship title, with the EMA squad, the Melbourne-based squad, providing partnership with Manthey this year as well. So fantastic effort from them with a 1-2 finish. Mirko Bortolotti, though, doing enough by finishing in 5th place to just about keep the championship fight alive. 27 points behind, 28 still available. He closed and he closed and he closed, but he couldn't quite get past Riccardo Feller. One more lap, I think he might have done it, or at least had a go, but only 2 tenths behind in the end. Bortolotti comes home in 5th place. Riccardo Feller, a valiant effort, 4th place. That mega battle he had with Jack Aitken in the first half of the race, but ultimately he drops out of the championship fight now. But nonetheless, it's been a great season for the former ADAC GT Masters champion. 3rd place in the DTM. He's already wrapped up the GT World Challenge Europe Sprint Cup Championship as well with Matthias Drudi. And the crowd get to their feet, Brian, because that was a great race.
Yes, a huge crowd here today in the sunshine, and they've witnessed, well, they almost witnessed the championship, but not quite. Some proper elbows out racing, though. We get this when we get to the end of the season. Just imagine what tomorrow is going to be like, because everybody's going to be going for it. But Thomas Preining, he's still got to get it across the line. It's going to be a tall order for Mirko Bortolotti, but Thomas Preining very much with one hand on the trophy.
And provisionally, with my old school maths, I think 65 points the gap between Porsche and Lamborghini. So Porsche have done enough provision provisionally to wrap up the Brand Championship as well. There you see the confirmation of the top 10 and the rest of the runners. Thomas Priding, Dennis Olsen and Christian Engelhardt on the podium. Ricardo Feller in 4th, Mirko Bortolotti 5th, Kelvin van der Linde 6th, Jack Aitken 7th, Luca Stoltz in 8th, Marco Wittmann 9th and Lauren Heinrich in 10th place. Then the other points finishers were Thierry Vermeulen 11th, Clement Schmidt 12th, Marvin Dietz 13th, from Pereira, despite the runs through the penalty area, 14th, and from 27th on the grid, a point for Sheldon van der Linde, the outgoing champion, in 15th place. Well, here they have arrived, a 1-2, a first for the team. These two drivers, both winners in their first season last year for the Porsche brand, with Thomas Priding getting the first ever win for Porsche in the DTM when he won at the Norris Ring in the middle of last year. Out of the car he gets, and it's going to be a big hug here between the two teammates. Two terrific drivers, and their confirmation that with only 45 points available, Manthey EMA provisionally the team's champions in the DTM 2023. Ab Sportsline will have to wait another year for their 6th, or a crack at the 6th team's championship. SSR Performance 3rd in the standings, 60 points behind. Only their 2nd season of DTM, remember, and their first for the Lamborghinis. Done a great job. And, well, applauded out of the car is Mirko Bortolotti. It's not the result he wanted today, but given that he was staring down the barrel of being out of the championship, he's at least dug out half a chance. Well, it's not even half a chance, is it? But it's a chance, and he won't give up until it's all over.
Yes, well, it's about an eighth of a chance, isn't it? But Thomas Priding and the relief in his face, but he knows he just got to bring the thing home tomorrow, and he will be champion. It's good news for us because it means that the championship goes to the last race. And it's Thomas Priding who receives the congratulations for family, friends, team members around him, and Mirko Bortolotti. He's going to wander back to the garage.
Yeah, get the checks done afterwards, but 27 points behind. So qualifying tomorrow morning, he's got to outscore Thomas Priding by 2 points. To keep it alive. There's only 25 available after qualifying. So Bortolotti has got to qualify in the top 2 tomorrow. If he qualifies 2nd and Thomas Priding is 3rd, that still won't be enough. He needs to get 2 more points. So he could qualify on pole with Priding 3rd. That would still give him a whisker of a chance. But he's got to qualify in at least the top 2 to do that, because Thomas Priding is going to have a bit more work to do in the race tomorrow, because he'll have the success ballast on the car now for winning today's race. A great race then. Let's start to get some reaction down in the pit lane with Verena Riet.
And I'm here with Dennis Olsen. First of all, congratulations, 2nd place, and also you guys are team champion with Manthey. So guess a very good day, huh?
Yeah, perfect. You know, that's what we came for. First of all, to get the team championship, and a 1 and 2 never hurt. So definitely a great job for Thomas. He did a great job today, and very happy to get Christian off the start. That was important, and from there on, just trying to focus on myself.
Absolutely. 2nd place, a fantastic job. And Thomas, I guess, so hopefully tomorrow with your help, he'll be able to get the championship title.
We will definitely try our best, you know. You never know what can happen. It's still DTM, and it's going to be a big race tomorrow. First of all, a very important qualifying, and then see where we end up and try our best from there.
All right. Thank you so much, Dennis, and back to you guys.
Thanks, Verena. Great drive from Dennis Olsen. They were sort of under the radar a bit, weren't they, Dennis Olsen and Christian Engelhardt? But 2 fine drives that for 2nd and 3rd place, respectively. And there is Christian Engelhardt out of the car. What a way to come back to your old team with a podium finish for them in the DTM, the team's 2nd podium finish. And there is the driver that is almost there in terms of this year's championship title, but not quite. But he couldn't have done any more, as you said, Brian. He'll have to wait at least another day to get his hands on that trophy, but it could be done as early as tomorrow morning in qualifying. So Priding, Olsen and Engelhardt, plus the representative of the winning team, fittingly, because they've wrapped up provisionally the team's championship. Manthey EMA will be on the podium in a couple of minutes' time. But that was a real thriller, and Hockenheim is just one of those tracks that suits DTM, isn't it?
Oh, don't you just love it? It's a great place to have the season closer. The great bit is it's never over because there are so many overtaking opportunities, and always excitement at Hockenheim today. What a great race. I'm really looking forward to seeing what we get tomorrow.
Saturday of DTM Hockenheim 2022 was about as low as it can get for Thomas Priding. Fast forward 12 months. and it's a very different story. There's Christian Engelhardt, well, already a race winner in the DTM earlier this season, but special dispensation to go back to being, for this one weekend, only a Lamborghini driver. It's great to have him back. He's had so many race wins and podiums here at this circuit over the years in Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland and GT Masters Championship. So we always fancied he'd be up there. And with that spectacular GGMT gold livery on the car, Gottfried Grasser and the Austrian team will be thrilled with third place. Second place for Dennis Olsen, his second podium of the year and his best result of 2022, the Norwegian, with a terrific supporting role to this man, Thomas Preining, who's had 4 wins now in the DTM. It's going to be his 10th podium in the championship and never a more important race win in his career, I would say. It sets him up beautifully for Sunday to become the day of days for him here at Hockenheim. But here we go, the podium presentations. And first up onto the podium, sprinting up onto the third step of the podium, is Christian Engelhardt with a huge smile on his face.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's just done an hour-long race, does he?
No, I remember last time we saw him in a DTM car, had that big accident, didn't he, with Engine Goo, and very unfortunate, get tangled up in that in the wet at the Nürburgring. So he's been around the paddock since then, but first time back in a car for him. Second place for Dennis Olsen, the Norwegian driver. And Thomas Preining, it says number 1 behind him on the podium. Will it say number 1 behind him on the champions podium tomorrow? Only time will tell, but a word of caution, as they all say, it's DTM. You never know what's going to happen. And the team that's going to be celebrating big time tonight at Manthey EMA, Nicholas Roeder's team. He's the team manager. Olaf Manthey is the team founder, and they will celebrate the team's championship provisionally with a 1-2 finish as we get the drivers' national anthem. So the national anthem of Austria plays as Thomas Preining looks to become the first ever Austrian DTM champion. Celebrations for the team as well, Tobias and Zodis, the team manager. The trophies will be coming their way very shortly, and it's Gerd Enser from the ADAC, the president of sport, that presents the winner's trophy in this 15th round of DTM 2023 to Thomas Preining, who kisses the trophy, holds it aloft. Once again, they're fantastic trophies here. And Markus Seidler from the local town from Hockenheim presents the second place trophy to a very happy Dennis Olsen, who played his role beautifully, and a really important start he got to the race as well for the team. And Friedman Bausch will present the trophy for third place to a very happy Christian Engelhardt. Huge smile on his face. So he's great to see. Didn't get the car home, but he got it across the line, which was all that mattered. And then the team's trophy presented to Manthey EMA, who are provisionally the 2023 teams champions as well, with a 1-2 finish, their first in the DTM. So they all gather up onto the top step now, ready for some photos, and then all hell will be unleashed when they get the champagne, as you can well imagine. So all smiles, and then a race for the champagne here on Saturday at Hockenheim, and they all charge for the teams, who are about to get very, very sticky, Brian.
Yes, but the celebrations cannot go on too long because they've got an important job to do tomorrow.
Oh, you killjoy, Brian.
So, yes, a cup of tea all around, please, and a nice sit down, and then focus on tomorrow, because the team championship might be sorted, but the drivers' championship, it ain't done yet.
Maybe our beer. You can maybe have our beer.
One.
But focus. Job's not done yet, as Brian quite rightly says. The voice of reason. Well, Thomas Preining, I think I've ever seen, maybe after his first win at the Nürburgring, but he's never seemed so happy to get a race victory, and immense pressure on him, but he dealt with it absolutely beautifully in qualifying and, of course, in the race as well. So they're all celebrating down on the podium. I hope you've enjoyed our coverage of the race. Let's wrap it up down in the pit lane with Verena.
All right, and I'm here with Thomas Preining, who really managed to go from pole positions to victory and also extend the lead. So hopefully tomorrow you can snatch the title. And I mean, now you've got to be relieved. I mean, it was a perfect day for you, right?
Yeah, I'm relieved and I'm also wet. Yeah, mega day for the team. To get a 1-2 is fantastic. It's excellent job by everybody the whole season, and obviously to finally manage to get a double podium and the 1-2 is really special, and I'm just really proud to get the team championship.
Exactly. So today you can celebrate the team championship and hopefully tomorrow the title.
Let's hope so. This is the goal. I think I need 2 more points. Doesn't sound like much, but we see how tight it is and how fast it can go to score 0. So in the end, we need to stay focused. Tomorrow's another day. We didn't win nothing yet in the Drivers' Championship. And yeah, we just do the same as always, full push and see what comes out.
Thank you so much, Thomas. It's going to be super exciting tomorrow, that's for sure. So you do not want to miss it. Now, for the moment, enjoy the highlights, and we'll see you tomorrow for the final championship. Yeah, for the big final. That's it. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.